Okay, let's talk about edit selections inside of Sibelius. If you just click on a bar, and you have to make sure you click in the right spot as well, you'll make a one-bar selection. If you click too close to a note or too close to an articulation, then you will just highlight that specific note or articulation. So you have to be careful to make sure you click in an open space. Okay, you can get rid of the selection by hitting escape. Let's talk about the things that you can actually do once you've made a one bar or a single bar blue edit selection. The first thing you can do is use your up and down arrows to change the pitch of the notes that you have selected. Next thing you could do would be to use Command, which does more, and the up or down arrows, and that will change your notes by an octave. The third thing you can do is you could add articulations to whatever you have selected. So let's say we'll select this bar here, and then let's open our keypad, Option Command K, and we could add staccatos or accents or any other articulation that we have to whatever it is we have selected. Lastly, we can choose to change all of the notes to their enharmonic equivalent by hitting the return key. You can see that changes all these notes to their enharmonic equivalents. Lastly, we can hit backspace or delete to delete all of the notes and replace it with the rest. If you double-click on a staff, you'll select every bar in that particular staff. So you can see the whole system here has been selected. If you triple-click, you'll select all of the bars or measures in that staff for the whole piece. So if I triple-click, you can see now the violin throughout the whole score has been selected. Once you've triple-clicked on a staff and it's selected every bar on that staff through the whole piece, there's a few things you could do with it. You could hit delete, and once you do that, it's going to bring up this disclosure box that says, do you want to delete all the music, or do you want to delete the whole staff or instrument? If you say yes, it's going to delete. Now the first violin part is completely gone. Let me go ahead and undo that. You could also say delete, and do you also want to remove them from the file? No, so I'm just going to remove all the notes from that particular part. So a couple of options when you have a staff triple clicked. You could also make a selection from one particular point to another point by selecting the first area or the first note in this case that you want in your selection, and then shift and clicking using the last note you want to be contained in that selection. So this is more of a contiguous range selection rather than the full bar selection that we have talked about and demonstrated earlier. So this is a contiguous range selection from one spot to another. You can also increase the range of the selection by using the left and right arrow keys. So if you hold down Shift and hit left arrow, it'll move your contiguous selection a little more to the left, and if you hit the right arrow, it'll add more notes to the right. Now if you want to undo this, the only way you can do that is by going Command Z and undoing your selection. You can't use the left and right arrows to go back to where you were. It's also possible to make a vertical range selection as well. So if we choose the notes here on the cello line, and then we want to go vertically, we can go Shift and up arrow, or Shift and down arrow. The same holds true here. Once you've made a vertical selection like this, if you want to undo or say not have violin 1 part of the selection, you can't use the down arrow to unselect that. You just have to use Command Z and undo the parts of your selection that you don't want to have included. You can use Sibelius to create a range selection across multiple tracks by using the mouse to lasso the notes that you want to be part of your selection. You can do that by holding down the Command key on a Mac and then clicking and dragging, you can see that everything that is inside of this box will be included in your selection. So that's a much easier and faster way to make large selections over multiple staves of music. Range selections can also be made from up in the ribbon. So if you come up here to the Home tab and select, you'll see you can choose bars to select. You'll also notice that that has a shortcut on a Mac, Option Command A. So if I click on this, let's look at this dialog box. First, we can select a bar that we want to start at, let's say measure 2, and we'll go up to measure 10, and click OK, and you can see I've made a selection across all my tracks from 2 through measure 10. Another option that's available to you, let's get back to that window, Option Command A, is to make a system selection. We'll talk about this in just a little bit, but this basically allows you to do some other things like delete these actual bars from the score. We'll go over that later, but that's a system selection is a purple selection, whereas a bar selection is a blue selection.